Now the useState hook receives an initial state as an argument and then returns by making use of array destructuring. Right here, if you see, this is array destructuring. Now it receives an initial state as an argument. So this is the initial state it received as an argument, that is 0. Now the two variables in the array can be named anything. The first variable is the actual state. This is the actual state. While the second variable is a function that is meant to update the state by providing a new state. So that is what we learned. Now let's learn about useEffect. The useEffect hook accepts a function that would contain effectual code. Now in functional components, effects is nothing but like mutations, subscriptions, timers, logging, and other effects which are not allowed to be placed inside a functional component. These things are not supposed to be placed in a functional component. This would lead to a lot of inconsistencies when the UI is rendered. Now in using the useEffect hook, the effectual function passed into it will execute it right after the render has been displayed on the screen. Now as soon as the render has happened, it has been rendered, the useState hook will run. That is what that function is for. Now by default, effects are executed mainly after the render has been completed, but you have the option to also fire them when certain value changes. The useEffect hook mostly into play for side effects that are usually used for interactions with the browser DOM API, browser and the DOM API, external API like data fetching or subscription, something like that. Now you can also think of useEffect as a compound mounting, updating, and unmounting. So let's go ahead and first introduce a useEffect hook right here and call it obviously as useEffect. Now before we do that, we have to import it. It's already done right here, useEffect. So next to useState, comma, useEffect from React. Now I'm going to call the useEffect hook. I'm going to open the brackets, and inside this I'm going to introduce a function. And what this function does is, I'm going to put an arrow function right here and open the brackets and close it. And right inside of this, I'm going to log it out. So console.log useEffect run or has run. So anything, whatever you name it, it's just as an example. Save this. Go to your Google Chrome, and right here you can either press F12 or you can go to Control Shift I, or your developer tools will be found right here in developer tools. Anyways, you can go to your console, and right here in your console you can see that the useEffect has run. I'm going to reload it. Once it has been rendered, useEffect has run. Now when I click it, it runs again. So each time any of the things render, useEffect will run, right? I think you have understood that. Now let's see an example to how it works. And right here we won't be using the same example for this. We will be changing it a bit. Now right here you can actually remove this for now, and you can remove this as well. You can just keep the div. And right here I want you to change the count to name and set count to set name. So we will give it a name, and let's give it a title and set title is our function. And here I'm going to say useState is initially it will be at bio, and up above in our here, just up above here, I'm going to say, I'm going to open and close the brackets so it is I can access whatever I want. So first name will be John, or let's call it as a name for now, and the second, that is last name, shall be last name, So let it be like this for now, and right inside of the div, so all of this is done in app.js and I'm rendering it inside of index.js. I hope you have noticed that and made those respective changes or it will not render. So inside of our app.js, let's give it a h1 tag, and here let's give title, and that will be title from here, that is bio. And right after this, I am going to introduce something called, I'm going to use the h3 tag, and here I'm going to say name. And obviously inside of this, I'm going to access the object that is name. And what this contains is two values, that is first name and last name. So I'm sorry, I just made a small mistake here. Name is equal to, so I'm going to access the state name, and inside of name I want first name. Similarly, I'm going to introduce a h3 tag, and here I'm going to say last name, and up above I can say actually first name. And here it is last name. And similarly here I am going to access name dot last name. So it is accessing it from here. Now we can save this. The set title value we have not used for now, so we will set title, use effect, and these are not, so that's why it's just giving us a warning, but that's alright. Now if we go here and see, all the values have come up here, bio, name, and last name. That's the values we gave. We can go back. Now here we'll be using the use effect hook, and I will show you what we can do with it. So right here say use effect, and inside of this I am going to use an arrow function and open the brackets and close it, and right inside of this I am going to say set name. That is, I am going to change this value inside of use effect, and here I am going to call it as name is John, and actually this will be first name will be John. Basically I am changing the state, that is first name and the last name. So I'm doing that inside of set name, that's the function here, which I'm accessing from use state, and last name will be Doe. So let's save this, and you can see that it has been changed to John Doe. Even though I have not changed anything in our name, I've changed it in the use effect. Now let us see what the warning it is giving. It says React hook use effect contains a call to a set name without a list of dependencies. This can lead to an infinite chain of updates. To fix this, we need to pass a bracket. So what we can do is inside of set name right here, to prevent infinite chain of updates, what we can do is we can put a comma right here, and not here, right here. We can put a comma right here and two brackets. This will remove that warning. It still gives us that warning. Let's see where we need to make that change exactly. We have made the necessary changes, but it still says it, but it's just a warning, so it's okay. But anyways, we can, must be somewhere around here. So to prevent this, it will not be in the set name, but it's for the use effect. So I'm so sorry about that. It will be right here. Let's save this. That warning is gone now. There is no warning as such. We have not used set title yet. We'll do that a little later. Let's go check it out now. So when it renders, that's how it changes the first name and the last name, even though the values we have given to the state was name and last name. So this is basically, we have now imported the use effect hook and also made of the use effect function to set the state of a name and the surname property. It's pretty neat and concise. You may have noticed the use effect hook in the second argument, which is an empty array. Now what that is, this is because it contains a set full name which does not have a list of dependencies. this does not have a set of dependencies right here, and passing the second argument will prevent an infinite chain of updates. That is, the component did update, and also allow us to use our useEffect hook just as component did mount lifecycle method and render once without re-rendering on every change in the tree. Now each time there is a change in some other part of the tree, this won't get re-rendered. That's the importance of useEffect. Let's say some change happened to the title but it's not related to this useEffect, then this won't change. That's the thing about, so now the React app is looking like this. We can also change our title. What we can do to do that is we can go right here, and just after this we can say set title, and inside of set title I can open my brackets and I can say full name or my full name and save this. It is giving me an error. Let's see what that error is. There should be some kind of problem right here. There should be brackets and there has to be no problem, and it says passing error unexpected token. Okay, so it says expected a colon, but I'm not accessing any object or anything, so it's probably the brackets. Let's just remove that and see once. Let's save this. Okay, it's not giving me an error now. Alright, so you don't have to put the brackets right here because it's not, we don't have multiple objects right inside our value, so it's just accessing, we're just changing the bio to my full name. That's how we're using set title function to change it. That's it. So save this and go back and see, you can see that it's my full name, and right here you can see it's my full name, and I have gone full screen, but okay. So my full name John Doe is our first name and the last name. So that's how we can use useEffect. It is a very simple example on using the useEffect hook.